Good evening, ShmooCon. All right, this is the time of the day. I'm kind of a little, this is the last time we're going to be doing this at ShmooCon, but, it just really means a lot to me. It's amazing. Every year we have, a very good crowd that shows up. We have great judges, and over the years, which I'm going to touch on over the next few minutes, just tons of volunteers that have helped us make this a success. All right, I think by this point, we pretty much know what Firetalks are. Kind of my story behind this is I kind of got tired of going to these like 45-minute talks and about a half hour being just kind of background stuff, which if you're totally new, that definitely helps. But then I found in the last 15 minutes, like that's where the good meat of the talk was. And so that's what attracted me to this format. And so that's basically what this slide talks about here. So it started out as a simple, just people doing talks. And then we didn't have judges per se, but I would literally go around to like the party on Saturday night and ask people, we had these like random judges, essentially just asking folks like, hey, what talk do you think was the best? And so I have a judges slide here thanking them. Unfortunately, there's like a lot of the early judges, I didn't really get their names, but that's where the whole like American Idol-ish kind of thing, right? So, they come up, they give this talk, 15 minutes, and Firetalks overall is meant for maybe new speakers as well as more seasoned speakers that might have some edgy talks. And so it was just really nice just to get a good mix there. So the judges would essentially, just give some feedback, and that was especially helpful for newer speakers. I'm basically talking my whole talk, just showing this one slide. But so with the judges, we have this thing called bribes. So over the years, that's been more of a tradition. So you'll see contestants, we'll call them, come up, and they'll give the judges, things like, it's mostly been things like alcohol, but we've had things from like lasagna to makeup, you said?
There was an eyeshadow
embedded
palette that
glucose
was awesome.
monitor. It's like they were just all these cool things. So, I mean, and that's all just for fun. The judges, we sit down after the fire talks, and they essentially go through and really pick out the, taking in a lot of factors, trying to pick, say, the top 3 talks. And I might as well just go on. So the number 3 talk has been, let's see, it's like $125, and then it's $250, and it's $500. I just want to let you know that probably in 2010, when I started doing this whole thing, like, those were the same prizes. So I definitely didn't go with inflation. But it's, I mean, money isn't kind of, it doesn't really matter. It's more about just kind of getting people just a little motivation to come out and try things, try more edgy talks or new speakers. So this whole thing started in 2009. As you can see, Mubix is there, and the gentleman to my left here as well. This was held at the end of a hallway. there was a small group of us just around, and we were almost like in this big circle, and the speaker would get into the center and kind of do some like dance off kind of thing. But no, it wasn't like that at all. But it was really cool. And then so next year I talked to Mubix and kind of he's like, yeah, sure, run with it. And so that's how this whole thing started. The only thing that I really remember from, like, besides this picture, the only thing that I really remember are the sock puppets. It's Jack Daniel, so. All right, so then we all remember this year, right? So a lot of changes. We had a few snowballs. I think that rubbed a few folks the wrong way, but it all worked out, and we were happy, right? All right, so this was a tweet that, or X, or whatever you call it, that Mubix put out. Sort of the thread that got this whole Fire Talk started, and I just wanted to give Mubix a few moments to say what he wanted to say.
So Grex has no idea that this is coming because I didn't tell him anything of what I wanted to say here. We ran a contest without him ever knowing about Fire Talks. And for Fire Talks, we have a winner. And it's a $500 gift card to Amazon. Would you guys like to know who the winner is? It is the person who put in the most effort over time into Fire Talks. There was only one contestant, Grex. So I just wanted to say thank you to Grex for taking this, running with it, making it such an amazing event. I definitely couldn't have done it as good as you did. So thank you for all these years of making this such an awesome add-on to ShmooCon and making it such a good part of ShmooCon too. And I'm so happy to be here every year. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys didn't have to do that. This is, yeah, thanks. That's really appreciated.
I'll send you the $500.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, now I don't know where to start. Like, I didn't know where I was like 5 minutes ago. Now I'm really just out of it. No, yeah. But thank you all. Thank you. It's nice to know that the little bit of effort that I put in every year is appreciated. So I'm always, like, at the end of ShmooCon, I'm always surprised by the number of comments and things that, that, oh, Fire Talks is so great, it's the best, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, that's not me. That's the people that have helped me out over the years. That's the judges that have been here. I just do like a few coordination things, and I get up and have to speak, now, and then I'll speak at closing, and that's always nerve-wracking, but it is what it is. All right, speaking of judges over the years, so these are just a few folks. I'm probably I literally before this, I was going through all the previous slides that I've ever produced for Fire Talks. I went through, I have a note app that I've been using since 2010, and I went back and searched through all the notes that I wrote about Fire Talks, and so I tried to find all the judges, and I probably missed some folks, but, well, no, excluding these folks, okay? I didn't put them there because they're on the next slide, so. But people that aren't here now. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to these folks. And then also starting out, we had a lot of, when Fire Talks started out, it wasn't an official ShmooCon event. It was sort of this add-on thing. And so I needed a lot of help because I didn't have staff to video stuff and to do, we had to do security and things like that. So these are folks, once again, I did the same process, went through all the notes and slides that I've ever had, and I wanted to just kind of recognize them here. So just a big shout out or a big thank you to the prior judges as well as the volunteers that have helped over the years. All right, so this year, we have our fire judges here.
You seriously couldn't find a better photo?
No. Well, okay, being being that this is kind of like looking at our high school
You had to look really
yearbook
hard for that
things.
one. You had to really search for that photo.
No, I was trying to, so they're older or something. No, I didn't. I wanted to use a newer picture of Ray, so. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
thanks.
Because anyway.
Maybe
All right,
you
so
should've- maybe
if
should
you
have
guys
bribed
just want to say
Grex.
hi real quick. Space Road? Did you want to say hi real quick? Hello.
No, what? What's the question?
All right. Say hi. All right.
Oh, say
I'll
hi.
just
Hi.
do it.
Hi.
All right, so we have Space Road.
So I'm Space Road.
Yay!
I've been up here a lot of times, and that's an really old picture. So,
We
yeah.
have Kim Possible. Katie. And Ray Redacted.
We're learning how to turn on microphones as judges.
So these are going to be the judges for this year. So I think that's pretty much. I already talked about the prizes. Okay, these are the slides. You see, these are on the website. They're in the. I don't think they're in the program per se, but they're on that little card that you can put around your lanyard. So I just kind of wanted to start out with the first talk. I don't know. Does anybody, before we start the official Fire Talks, does anybody have any words or anything? Or are we good? Good.
Thanks for letting me judge these people.
I would like to say something. I'm Ray Redacted, by the way. For me, Fire Talks has been an incredible, absolutely incredible experience, both personally and professionally. And in many ways, being here tonight is kind of like my experience with Darknet Diaries. I was a super fan for years and years and years, and then to actually get to participate in it, this is definitely one of the highlights of my entire life.
So we had to make him a judge because he was too good and he would have kept winning. So we were like, get off the stage. No, stay on the stage as a judge.
Wait a minute, didn't your son win in something that was...
Yeah, someone asked me this morning, are you the guy with the sun? And I said, yes, in fact, I am the guy with the sun. No, but my son is the fastest climber in the world.
All right, if we're saying stuff for real, I will say the very first talk I ever gave was at ShmooCon in, I think it was 2009, maybe, something like that. And it's always been a very special place to me, and I was really honored to be asked to judge Fire Talks however many years ago it first started. I think I was a substitute for someone who wasn't here, but I've really cherished the experience, and I've cherished being here with all of you, so thank you.
And one other thing, big thank you to all the speakers over the years. I know a lot of people who have spoken on the Fire Talk stage, it was their very first time on any stage. We had some of those people who actually won Fire Talks and have gone on to have some really great careers over the years, and they started right here. So that was very nice. Thank you to all former speakers.
All right. Well, I can't be the only one to not talk. I also started as a substitute for someone who wasn't able to make it one year, and this is so ridiculously fun. I very much enjoy judging people. There's only 2 times a year that I'm mean, and this is one of them. So let's go.
All right, so we have our, are the slides showing? I still need to plug it in, huh?
Okay, I was wondering if that was such
All
a
right,
leading
guys,
question. The other time is an event called JudgyCon, which is held during DEF CON, where we sit in the hallway at the Bellagio and quietly talk smack about people walking by. It's great.
No. No, the cord dropped somewhere.
So instead of troubleshooting, because he's perfectly capable of doing that himself, I will tell you the only bribes that I am accepting this year are in the form of charitable donations. You can just donate $1. It doesn't have to be a lot. You will not get more bribery points via donating more dollars, so that's not allowed. But the 2 that I would ask you to consider, I've posted on Blue Sky. It's for Mark Rogers Recovery Fund. He broke his neck. If you know Mark Rogers, Sea Junkie, you know he's one of the greatest humans and hackers on the planet, and he needs some help because American healthcare is insufficient. Let's just put it that way. And then the other one is some mutual aid fire relief, and there's a link in the tweet, or not tweet, sorry, I said a bad word. The skeet that I skeeted earlier today on Blue Sky.
Continue on.
Oh, okay. Well, I will also accept bribes to Mark Rogers Recovery Fund or milk chocolate. Fuck dark chocolate. I want milk chocolate.
What percentage?
What percentage of milk chocolate?
What percentage of chocolate?
I'm like, yeah, like how many pounds of chocolate are we talking about?
And because I think this is I think this is probably gonna be my last time judging. I'll take any bribes whatsoever.
No, but the charities do.
Yeah, I'm sure those charities do. Yeah.
All right, so with our first talker, is it gonna... Sorry, I just had a little AV problem.
So, how many of you have ever been to the Firetalks before? Yeah, that story checks out. Pretty much, you don't hang out on the Friday night unless one, you know that Firetalks are happening, and two, oh my God, the slides are up. Okay. You'll never find out what two.
Come back with 2 later. Come back with 2 after.
All right.
Maybe.
So with the first talk, over the years, we've had a few people, and they've submitted some talks on hobo, and how that's related to security. And so Amelie is here to present her version of that. Amelie?
I heard there is a bribe thing involved here.
Yeah.
So let's get that out of the way real quick. You guys still got the... I wasn't told there was a 4th judge, so I'm a little short on stuff, but... So this is for Space Road. Oh. Go. Ready?
Very fancy.
Doubled up.
Tonic water. Ginger beers.
I already donated for
It's pink.
Jose.
Squirrel.
Nice.
Force One.
Oh, Cyber Squirrel one.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
And if you don't like anything, you can split it among others. But
Bacardi. Ooh, Tito's.
all right. Wow. Now this is hot as hell, and I ain't gonna take it anymore.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you and you with me. All right. Down the throat. There we go. All right. Cool. You gonna do this, Mike? All right. Cool. Awesome. So let's kick this off. Probably not gonna get the speaker notes up here because I'm just gonna kind of freeform it, but talked about the security hobo code. If anybody's not familiar with hobos, they're different than your tramps and bums. They're the ones that actually want to work for a living, so it's kind of cool that way. But briefest and intros, just to kind of, for time. My name's Amelie Karan, handles Web Jedi. I do a bunch of stuff. It's one of those things you may know me from kind of situations. This is 18 years of coming here. I enjoy the hell out of it. I thank all of you who I've made that are friends, acquaintances, and colleagues. So thank you so very much for the time you've given me. Anyhow, major greets to all our STEAM panel judges. I'm sorry, Kim, I did not know.
That's okay.
I can mail you something.
That's fine.
So, getting back into this, so what is a hobo? So a hobo by definition is considered a traveler, and as we through this career and the space that we're in, we're all travelers through our lives, through time, through people and spaces. The etymology behind this was really muddled. I had a hard time just trying to figure out where it kind of came from. There were some French allocations to this. There's Old English, all sorts of stuff. But like I said, it's different than a tramp or a bum because you want to work. You want to help. You want to be part of a community. This came to be around the end of the Civil War. Obviously, most people know hobos are the ones who hop on trains and travel to different places. You'd be really surprised that the writer Carl Sandburg and George Orwell both actually hoboed for a while. So they have that kind of worldly kind of touch to their time and place. Most folks talk about hobo code, the myth of those little signs and markings and whatnot. But what they actually had was an ethical code. A lot of you who have CISPs, that's one of those cases where you have to do certain things a certain way. I think it's changed over time. I've never owned a CISP, so I'm just going off of kind of general knowledge. But it's just there to help protect the group and to kind of give guidance to folks who will follow after them. The thing that I found that was in common with both us as security professionals and professional hobos is that we have a distorted public image. When you hear the word hobo, or as I went through our corporate communications, they thought it was a derogatory term and they didn't read the slide. But we're also misunderstood too. When people used to mention hackers, that was like a dirty word among the business professionals. Trying to explain what you did in your free time to your potential employer was always one of those challenges, and you had to spend that time kind of explaining, why it's good for you to be in this role and how you're here to help. So I threw these questions out here just to kind of ask yourself, get a little bit of introspection. I was telling Grex here, what would be better to go by my first name or my handle? Handles are usually easier. A lot of us have handles, folks back in the BBS days and so forth, versus the ones nowadays, just, it's not as cool, I guess. But going back into the code, I think we all want to live somewhat an ethical life. We want to be good to others. If you want to do the whole golden rule thing, that's generally kind of where we kind of sit at. I've never met anybody here that I think of as just absolutely evil. There's probably a couple of folks that have that moniker, but I think generally we're all pretty cool about that. But especially in this day and age, we're always having to hustle to find work. That's also something the hobos kind of came up through the Great Depression and whatnot, and had that as an issue, is always trying to find work in dark times. And we're in one of those dark times right now, so I wish all of those who are the current hobos of the day, who want to work and want to be partaking in this environment that we live in and helping your organizations and society kind of advance, I wish you the best, and again, we're here to help. So again, too, feeling lost and wistful. Sometimes we feel a little lost, that's why we're here, we reconnect. LobbyCon, down here, in the villages, whatever, and that's what's great about this. And it's also in a field that allows us to explore. There's folks I know in my current employer who are pharmacists or people who worked in stores and stuff like that who are now security professionals. I'm sure so many of you didn't start out down this path. You came from another career space. That's the advantage here. It allows you to explore and build up knowledge and experience that way. Again, too, I feel myself as an outcast. I know a couple friendly faces I see in the audience here also kind of privately would term that to themselves as well. And this is that community we kind of build. Hobos also had a great community. It was one of those cases of kind of, they called it the jungle. It was the place where they ended up. It was the community that you had a group of hobos, and they did mutual cooking and care and protection, among others. And then two, we're all here. This is year 20 of this. This is our community, whether we like it or not. And I think that's the other great parallel to hobos, is that was something that stuck together for over 150 years. So the challenge as a hacker hobos is it's much more diverse now than it was 10, 20, 40 years ago. I've been in this business for about 25 years, I think, professionally. Some folks I know a lot longer than that. There's some cryptologists from NSA here that I know have definitely kind of established things. So they've long lasted anything I could claim as a career path. As we all know, we're talking about jobs. There's zero loyalty now with employers, and that's the thing. You're always kind of bouncing. You always have to be on your toes. You never know when the fuzz is going to come by, or that the axe is going to fall. And again, going back to misunderstood, I spend a lot of time right now not explaining what I do as a security professional, but also trying to explain the intersection between what we do, maybe technical or audit or compliance, but also work about policy and things like that. And if anyone was on Hackers on the Hill, you don't have to cheer. That was another great interface for us to kind of get out of our shell as a technical nerd in whatever we do. We could have a palatial state on the mountain, or we can work in a basement in a dark room, or you like in the sunlight. That's one of those things that's always kind of going and expanding. But it is also very frustrating to try to communicate what we need. We're really poor advocates about what we are, and I think the talks further on from here are all about trying to figure out how we can best advocate for ourselves. The road that we're on is fraught with challenges, again, employment, but also you never know where the next page is going to turn. You never know where the next threat's going to come from, where the next budget challenge is going to be. And again, much like with hobos, you're always being creative about what's next. Our diversity is our greatest strength and our greatest weakness because we don't have a really close-knit community. We come here to these cons, but we got to carry this, much like when this conference ends, we have to carry this community forward. And the hobos and the hobo code really kind of help with that. And again, this is just my own little personal thing. No one's an Uber expert. Don't worship them at all. They may come, you know, they may be around a lot. They may know just as much as you. You may know more than them, but don't kind of, you know, over-index on how awesome they may or may think that they are. So this is the basic code. There's, I think, 16 of these things. I don't want to necessarily read them, but as you read through here, part of this is all about your behavior around the community and how you're around the others who are like you. One of these things, when you're like in an environment like this, you also want to abstain from being a scofflaw, or you know, one of those folks that you're going to have the police called on you or anything like that. So I was down, and I'm actually adapting this right now for something. I had a conversation in the garage. I ran into the chief building engineer for this hotel, who's been with us for 15 years, and he said he loves our conference because we actually behave. And I think that's a very odd comment from somebody who doesn't know this community. So pat yourselves on the back. It's the end of it, but you heard it from somebody else about that. And compared to Sans Fire, you guys are doing great. That was the one he complained about. But going back to the work thing, about the difference between hobos, tramps, and bums, the hobos are always trying to find work. And one of the things I want to emphasize here, since we have a limited amount of time, is what I've found the greatest strength about this community is that we do help each other out. I've had many conversations with people who have an opportunity, you know, hey, this would be perfect for you. Or I know you hop from job to job occasionally or do anything like that. But I usually always deflect, and I've known others, and say there's actually somebody in greater need of this than I am. And we work that network. We build those relationships. We try to help one another either through a job reference, showing them free training that they could do, or mentorship that they can get. And that's another thing that the hobos did, is that they brought new folks who were along who were either forced into that situation or they've actually chosen it themselves. Also, I do want to speak about the fact that obviously we talked about the bribes up here, and some of the ones that I provided were alcohol. And I know we do have an alcohol and drug problem. The hobos recognize that many, many years. You don't want to be in an environment and be that problem, that troublesome drunk or drug abuser. And we look out for one another. We've been cases here, you know, I'm a goon. I'm not a security goon, but we've had cases where we've had folks that are just not doing a great job of being part of the community, but yet we don't shun them, we try to find them help. And I think that's another great thing here, is when you find somebody who's in a struggle or who's fighting addiction or anything like that, we can all come together and help them. And that's the other parallel with us and hobos, is that we have that ability to kind of pass that and carry it forward. And I'm going to say the one thing that's probably going to get back to me from work. Always respect the area that you're at. You know, we're here, we clean up. I know after this, you know, I started when Ted was starting video in here back in 2005, and I stayed after and got to meet him and became an acquaintance, not necessarily a friend, but I was helping him clean up. But it's also one of those cases is don't shit where you sleep. You know, be good. It's one of the reasons we have the 3-2-1 rule in DEF CON. You just want to be a good community member. And again, the hobo code here was recognized that ahead of time. I don't think they ever got credit for it, but it's moved along for there. And here, this is all about volunteerism. I know Mubik said about all the volunteers who put on ShmooCon. They were very volunteer-oriented. Again, I mentioned about their communities, the jungle. That was actually where, you know, someone would take up cooking. They'd make sure you had hot water. They would do grocery runs. They would scavenge and so forth. And that's one of those cases here, is we all pitch in to help to make all this go on, whether or not you're a formal volunteer, or in certain cases you just drop into some of these villages or other areas and you're just willing to kind of help because it's what you want, what you do, and it's the way you can kind of give back for what this career has given to you. Trying to skip forward on here because like I said, I've got 3 minutes left, but I really wanted to kind of you know, put a memory into your space for folks who did know Dan. We can carry it forward. Dan gave me a lot. Sorry about this. But we can carry it forward, but it takes a lot of effort to do this. Think about yourself. Think about your role. Think about what your place is in the world and how you can help others. Help where you can. You may not have the skill, but it could just be a matter of connecting two people. That's my superpower, I think. A lot of people come to me because I know folks. You find your superpower and you can use that in miraculous ways. Dan was one of those folks to me. Also, too, don't be a jerk. There's a lot of other things you could be doing with your life, but don't be somebody that other folks are gonna say, please avoid. They're just not worth your time. And you can just do that by being introspective and not being a jerk. And with that, you can lift others up. One of those things is I spent a lot of time trying to think about every one of the people I knew who were gonna be judges here. And they lifted me up to get here. So I really appreciate it. So again, do good and be better. Share your knowledge and experiences and tell our lore, our stories. That's how we got the Hobo Code. They wrote that down, they shared it. It was a verbal, oral tradition. For us, we got the chance to write it down. We put it in GitHub. We put it in community notes. We write books about it that eventually they get printed and they become useless after a while. But that's our lore. And I challenge every one of you to kind of carry that lore forward from here at the end of ShmooCon forward. And again, remember others.
Are we judging? Is it judging time? Oh, okay. Donation has happened. Okay, great. Grex, are we judging?
Sorry.
All right.
You want to? All right, I'll go first. Try to make it quick because we got 4 judges this time. I often do not see the passion and emotion on stage, and I love it. And I know it's very strong feelings for you, obviously, but I think it comes through in your talk, and that was appreciated. And everything you said here, I think, needed to be said. Great message. 18 ShmooCons.
Yeah.
It's like 4
This
more
is
than-
heavy, man. This is really heavy.
I didn't even bring mine all.
I'm surprised they didn't make one with lead. I
Yeah.
mean, this would have been the final year where you just kind of like, everyone's walking around like that.
So extra points for that. Extra points for costume. Like, nobody has a costume at Firetalks. Almost nobody. Extra points for the badges, right? Thanks for digging those all out. And the bribes are, those are amazing. So, awesome. That's all I have.
I think the judges who got the bribes should go first, and I should get to go last.
It was poor communication from him.
It's okay.
I'm going to
New
concur.
judge on deck.
There we
New
go.
judge,
Reagan.
everybody. Here we go.
I have to concur that the costume was a very, very nice touch, but I don't know if everyone caught this, but there was also a whistle song that was when you were walking on stage.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was a very particularly nice touch. I liked the AI art. I think that was AI art? I think, was it?
Yeah,
AI?
there was.
Yes?
So about the artwork, I put photos of every one of the judges, unlike the one that I think we got for Space Rogue, into a couple different AI photo generators, and that's what I got out of everybody.
boy.
So it was.
Can I see those slides again?
coming in. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It just getting Ray's photo was really hard.
I thought it was a Coca-Cola shirt and a robot arm and a. Anyway.
Yeah, it was DeviantArt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also love the concept of reclaiming the term hobo the way that we are all trying to reclaim the term hacker. And then the last point, and this is the biggest one I have, and I might get emotional here too. We might need some Kleenex too. But my son taught me the most important lesson in my entire life, which was to lift others as you climb. But I just realized when I was sitting here, we need to lift others when we're not climbing as well. And that's my favorite point of that entire thing.
Thanks.
Okay, I judge Ray's first judging to be top notch. Very good. You can always wipe your eyes and your tears on the squirrel, which squeaks. So plus 18,000, I have a rubric, and I make it up every time for every individual speaker. So plus 18,000 points for 18 years at ShmooCon.
Yeah. Thanks.
That is dedication. That's also longevity in our industry. It allows you the perspective to give that talk. You can't give a talk like that with being a newbie. And I think so many of our experiences are intertwined in, not just ShmooCon, but every single time we come together. And you really brought that out. You're going to make everybody on this stage cry. Thank goodness we have very absorbent squirrels here. One thing that really stood out to me was when you said, when no employment is available, make your own work by using your talents and crafts. That's our whole freaking industry. That is our entire industry. And I remember before there was a profession, there was no work in this industry. We had to make it, and we had to create these jobs. And that really spoke to me, especially given the fact that I just make up my own job right now. But that's the ethos, and hopefully our profession will continue to evolve in that vein, and I really love that. Obviously, it's been mentioned, the lift others, remember others. We have a history, problem, but it's just an oral history. It's a history of us knowing each other and remembering each other and repeating each other's names and accomplishments and recognizing each other. And the last thing I will have to say is this bribe is so good. This is Chamorro coconut candy. For those of you who don't know me, I am half native Chamorro, and I will tell you, in Chamorro, si Zeus Ma'asi. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna lean into my whole Maleficent vibe, given that she didn't know I was invited because there was a miscommunication. I guess my invitation was lost in the mail. So big props on the costume. And the reason I stood up is because you are like me and you wobble at the microphone and you drop the microphone sometimes and you command the stage when you give a talk. And it's okay to be a walker, but then you turn around and you make your point and you stop moving. And that would be the most useful feedback I could give you, is own that stage. It was a great talk. I would also suggest more slides with fewer words would actually land your message, because then the audience can take a picture of a slide and tweet it, or skeet it. Skeet. Well, I mean, I don't know. People can maybe get the slides, but it was a great talk, and plus, I think it's. Let me count my zeros. 40 million points for a Dan K reference. I love that man.
Is Kirsten? Okay. Yeah, so just while she gets set up, I just wanted to, so the buck stops here, so I miscommunicated the whole thing, so that's why.
Oh, no, I'm totally leaning into it. I get to be Maleficent. She had great cheekbones. Oh, my God.
So what was the other point? What was the other you said you'll never know. Tell us the other half.
I don't even remember what we were talking about. What was it? Oh, right.
And then, let's see, I just need to look at the schedule real quick here. Is Tyler in the house? All right, well, Tyler's next. I'm not seeing hands, but okay.
Sugar, condensed milk. Oh, yeah.
Over there in the back, far left.
Melts in your mouth.
Far left in the back. The person you're looking
Okay, cool. All right.
He's just waving at you.
Just wanted to make sure. So there are actually 4 judges. I just wanted to let you know that. I'm just kidding.
This is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So I thought I was worried about that.
That's actually pretty nice.
Okay, well, missed the bite. Oh, it's a nice place.
It's a whatever Mexican sugar skulls for Day of the Dead. Yeah.
What do you want, whiskey? Vodka?
All right, so while I was looking over the talks here,
You want tonic?
I don't know, I've worked in the SOC for several years and So they had this whole, you probably heard of it, or what's the new name for it? Not the kill chain, but the MITRE attack framework.
Oh, yeah, the attack framework.
And I used to teach a class and kind of dealt with that. But what I really liked is, she kind of took that framework of kind of starting at the end and working backwards and applying that to your career. And so that's why we chose it. So with that, Kirsten?
We don't have a slide.
We don't.
Hey, judges don't have a slide there, Mr. Man.
Let's have it up there, but not down there.
Oh, they're up there.
Oh, there we
There
go.
we
Good.
go.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, is the timer on?
You can start, I can start, whatever. I'll start together.
All right, that's a hard one to follow. I knew it was going to be emotional. But there was a lot of things that hopefully actually tie into what I'm saying, and that wasn't planned. So I did already donate to Mark, not as part of a bribe. And there was supposed to be actual alcohol to go with the shot glasses, but I failed. But anyway, starting at the finish line, demystifying the career path through reverse engineering. So I came up with a little framework and hope it makes sense. So who am I? I am Kirsten. Everyone calls me Krenner. I don't know how that happened, but that's who I am. Once a help desk manager, turned into a recruiter, and I am currently the Vice President of Talent at Silver Edge Government Solutions. Potentially, possibly best known, in addition to volunteering a lot, I helped stand up Car Hacking Village 10 years ago, co-ran it for 9-ish years. Now part of the ICS Village and running Hack the Capitol, Workforce Development Day, B-Sides Charm Hiring Village, and B-Sides Higher Ground. Where's Jack? He's out there, I see him. All right, so people always ask when they're looking. So I loved everything she said about hobos. I'm going to keep tying back into it. I was tying back into it the whole time. Where do you start? It doesn't matter where you currently are, right? You're trying to break into the industry for the first time. You're far along in the industry, but you feel like you're stuck in a spot and you are trying to find a way to like pivot into something new or learn a new technology or advance. You don't seem to be advancing. You see others advancing, or it appears as though they are. Where do you start? At the end. Duh. All right, so I want to be a systems engineer. I want to be a solutions architect or a VP of something or other or a director of something or other. I want to start my own company. There are people in this room that have done that dream, right? There are people in this room that started their own thing. That's so brave. But they had to start somewhere, right? They had to imagine it, and then they had to get there. So I hope I give you a path for that. First of all, I wanted to start by saying, I see constantly, and in the full version of this talk, I back it up with research. I will be available later if you want to talk about what I'm about to say. Everywhere you look, they say there's 500,000, there's 300,000, there's 150,000 jobs open. Are there? And you're thinking, whoa, why don't they reply when I apply? What's wrong with me? I want you to give yourself a break and understand, and I can prove this, and in the full version of the talk, there's an exercise, and we can do it, but I didn't do it here because I thought it might be a little bit distracting, right? You see the job, you think there's 20, there's really only one, right? Or it says 5, or it says 10, or it says 50, there's really only one. Why? Because especially in this area, government consulting, 20 companies post one job. Right? So there is an inflated picture out there of what is actually available. So I just said that so that you won't feel so bad, right? We all, every single one of us, apply and don't hear a word. So more on that later. So we're going to reverse engineer this. And the framework that I designed is called CLIMB. And I know, sweetheart. And I had a picture of Sam, the Olympic winning climber and world record holder of climbing, ready for this slide, but I do respect the ask permission rule, and he gave me permission, but after I was done with my slides. Anyway, there's a version of this with Sam, but anyway. Okay. I also tried to use AI to do my graphics and learned that AI can't read. But anyway, while I was making the graphics, I was like, that's almost a word. But anyway, so then I had to do this very quickly in Paintbrush. So CLIMB stands for choosing, learning, interacting, mobilizing, and becoming. So if you run a network scan, right? So a lot of you have an engineering background or a strong understanding of engineering. You start at the finish line, right? All those things that we started at the beginning and we're talking about. So whatever you want the end result to be. I want to break into this. I want to exploit this vulnerability. I want to get to this network. I want to break in. Whatever you're trying to get to. So in this case, it's becoming the thing you want to become, having the career you want to have. So you start by choosing what you want the finish line to be, what you want to become, and then you start learning. So we are in the information age. Data is all around us. Every single one of you knows how to find it. You have skills to analyze it, to collect it, and to make it make sense. So you are going to do research on who else has these careers, who else has these jobs, who's hiring for them, and a little bit more on that later as well. Then you're going to interact. It's self-explanatory. You're all doing it here this weekend. You do it all the time. You do it on social media. Then you're going to mobilize. I thought about calling this a couple other things, but materialize, you get the point. You're going to take the actions, and then you're going to become the thing that you want to become. So choosing, if you were running a network scan and you're trying to have your target system, in this case, the role is the target. You are going to define what that role is, what industry has those roles available, and then you're basically relating this back to what is important to me. Every time you try to solve a problem from an engineering perspective, whether it's a software problem, whether it's a systems problem, you have to gather the requirements from all of the stakeholders, right? And then you have to analyze those requirements and you have to prioritize those requirements. Just know that in your career journey, wherever you are, those priorities are going to change. I personally have taken big pay cuts to get out of a certain situation to get to another situation that meant more to me at the time. It may be the commute. It may be the flexibility. It may be the benefits. As your life changes, as your family situation changes, your priorities are going to change as well, so keep that in mind. It's not always about just the dollar sign. If it is, I could guide you towards dollars, whatever the case may be, but just know that you need to analyze also what really matters to you in the moment. All right, then you're going to start gathering information. I could talk about this slide for an hour. So when you Google the name you want to be, Google the career you want for yourself, don't just look at who's hiring for that. Take it a step further. It's company A, company B, company C. What are those companies saying about themselves? Who cares? Actually, who cares, right? Take it further. Where are they? What impact are they making? Who's advancing? All this data is available to you, right? Everywhere. You can do a little X-ray search and find out who's advancing inside of those companies. So really, the footprints that those companies are leaving, what are they participating in? What do they really care about? What do they really stand for? It's all out there for you to gather, that information, what matters to you the most in that moment. Also, who has the job that you're looking for and where do they work? Then take it a step further and look at their profile. Look at Jason Street's profile. Sorry, Jason. Just as an example. And watch the advancements occurring, right? When you are looking, it's giving you evidence about the companies. Did the people, as they were advancing through their career, do it within one company? That is something that you need to realize about the company. I could grow there. Or they had to move every time. They advanced in their titles by leaving. That's something to keep in mind, okay? So, interacting, self-explanatory. You're all doing it right here and now. This could be considered the testing part of the process, right? You're networking with professionals. You're doing it on social media. You're doing it in person. You're doing it by engaging, by joining groups, by volunteering. Volunteering is going to bring you into a whole new area of learning, also. And respond to calls for papers. Do it. You learn more getting rejected than you will ever learn getting accepted, right? Getting accepted is cool. This is scary. This is the first stage I ever spoke on years ago, and back in the day. And then, you know, I spoke at DEF CON. It's still shocking to me that occurred. I stood right next to Dark Tangent and spoke, and what a growing experience, right? Also, then there was a bomb scare and there was alarms, and I didn't get to say anything I wanted to say, but that's another story. But anyway, damn it, hackers. Anyway, do this, and really the feedback that you get, if you don't get any feedback, if you get rejected, consider that a learning experience. Ask for feedback. They want to tell you why. And then you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to do presentations and all the skills that you're gaining, whether you're sitting at the front desk or you're a t-shirt roller. If you were all here to hear what Heidi was talking about at the beginning, did you hear all that? All those logistics, all those problems that had to be solved, all of the things that they had to respond to. She had to deal with vendors. She had to deal with suppliers. She had to deal with prices. All of a sudden, something that was supposed to be available 20 minutes later wasn't available. These are skills that you're going to be able to use in your careers, right? In fact, if you just tell those stories and you take notes and you write down all the skills that she needed or her volunteers needed to make those things happen, that's something you can put on your resume. And good employers and good recruiters are going to pay attention to that. Mobilizing is obviously that you have to apply and you have to do an interview. Think also about the testing stages when you are solving problems and when you are doing a network scan or something to that effect. You have to test and you have to look at the results and you have to analyze the results. These are the actions that I took. Did it work? Did it work effectively? Look over periods of time, and then the more periods of time that you get to analyze, the more you can see what makes sense. Well, I figured out that when I do a cover letter and I keep it short, or I send a follow-up message via direct message to a recruiter at the company or to a hiring manager at the company, it's more effective. People actually look at my resume. That's cool. You just learned that. Keep track of that and notice. You may notice certain things work for certain types of jobs, right? So use your engineering minds to keep track of the things that work and are successful for you. Also, I very easily could have put Sam on the podium, but you know, just picture that. I want you to become the thing that you imagined, right? I want this exercise to put you holding that medal. So securing the role isn't the end of the journey, by the way. You're going to become whatever that title was that you were looking for. And then within that role, you're going to grow. Every single, it sounds so cliche, but I promise it's true, all the challenges, all of the things that are difficult help you do either better in that specific role or to go and grow and be the next thing. I'll tell you super fast. I run ultras. An ultra is anything longer than a marathon. A lot of them happen in mountain settings. So I do a lot of sort of climbing while attempting to run. It's really more like meandering than running, but for sure. But what I do every time, whether it's 8 hours or 12 hours or 18 hours, whatever it is, that's a long journey, just like your career journey is long. When I'm out there and it sucks and there's pain and I'm tired, I look for whatever is the furthest thing I can see. Right now it's an exit sign. Maybe I mean, just what happened. And maybe it's a telephone pole, maybe it's a fire hydrant. I look at it and I run to it and I don't stop. And I tell myself, you're not going to stop. You can be bleeding, you can trip, it doesn't matter, go. And I don't stop. And then once I get to it, I look out again for the next thing that I can see. So I want you to do that. I want you to think of that. Whatever pain you're in, whatever exhaustion you're feeling, look for the thing that you can see and go for it. Imagine it. It could be a metaphor. It can be a target. Go for the thing. And this community, even though ShmooCon is ending, I'm not crying on purpose because I am like, okay. Whew. Anyway, you get the point. I'm gonna cry. I actually wore makeup and I never do that. Amelie made me cry it all off, so damn it. Anyway, bonus, attendance matters. If we went back to the interacting slide, 20 seconds. Attendance matters. You are learning here. You are connecting to others here. You are building your networking here. Don't forget to volunteer. I will be in the lobby from 9 to 12 tomorrow, reviewing resumes and handing out assets to help you with your career with some resume guides that I created. 1 second. Nailed it. I also know that her rubric is very, very complicated. I'm pretty sure that if there's a part on there for shoes, right? Is this worth at least 8,000 points? Right? Let's go. Right? Amazon.com.
Those are stage shoes.
All right, so plus 1,000 points for the blingy top. I hadn't even seen the shoes, which gets a bonus 200. You get another 200 points for having an actually actionable framework that puts the responsibility on the candidate versus there's more to it than just sending out applications. And there's a lot more you can do to take control and feel less helpless in this process, which will honestly buffer your mental health to not feel like you're just at the whims of these automated ATS systems, but to be like, all right, who has the job that I want and what can I learn from their path? That's not advice I've heard a whole lot. But the action orientation is important because a lot of people will contact their, I want to be like that person, and ask for mentoring, but then have no plan. And they'll come up to mentoring meetings with no agenda and no questions, and they're just waiting for you to fill their cup without having a conversation about what they want out of it. So I really appreciated the action-oriented candidate framework that gives people a place of, oh, I know what I need to do now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great, yeah, that's good. Oh, it's me?
I'm going to actually deduct a couple of points for pointing out that the Car Hacking Village has been around for 10 years and making me feel really old. I thought that got started like 2 years ago. 10 years for car hacking. That's ridiculous.
Do you remember the first booth? How sad it was?
Yeah,
How
I remember
tiny?
I thought, yeah, that's about right. Anyway. Plus 1,000 points, though, for helping to dismiss the billions of jobs myth that exists. Most of us in this room that have been around for a while know that there are not 150 million jobs available. And those jobs are definitely not for entry-level people. So thank you for helping dismiss that myth. The first 3 slides, or maybe it was 4, were awesome slides. It was a picture, it was a word, and that was it. And then wall of text on the 5th slide or whatever it was. And I was just like, oh, my eyes are hurting. And I could see everybody in the audience were like, oh, I'm going to read every single word on this slide, and I'm not paying attention to anything you have to say. So try to mimic those first couple of slides on all your other slides. And plus 1,000 points for volunteering for do resume review in the lobby. So thank you for that.
The other one. The other one.
Okay. We were told to speed these up, so I'm going to be speedy. Plus 2K for giving my little unlicensed action figure a tiny little pool. Thank you for that, Brad. Plus 100,000 rhinestone points for your shoes. They are amazing. I really, really loved where you said, picture yourself winning. I mean, everybody's seen or read or both Harry Potter, right? When he realizes that he's already cast the Patronus, and that's what gives him the motivation to know that he can cast the Patronus spell. And spoiler, yeah.
Expecto Patronum.
I use that a lot for myself, and I kind of, it really spoke to me about, believing in yourself, but also believing that you can do things that haven't ever been done, or doing things that you've done before and applying them into new areas. And the last thing I really loved was the fact that securing the role isn't the end of the journey. That is so important to keep yourself, not just engaged and growing, but the fact that there is something else new for you over the horizon. And especially when we found ourselves in roles that we thought were going to be great and they actually sucked.
What?
And the
That
fact
never
that
happens.
you can picture yourself taking whatever you can and giving whatever you can to grow yourself and grow the role. And it doesn't have to, end with you just getting the role. So anyway, thank you so much.
And I absolutely agree that I love the point about the millions of cybersecurity jobs not really being open. I know Malware Jake and some other folks have recently called bullshit on that fact rather publicly. I myself used to cite that statistic in cybersecurity talks that I would give to non-technical folks. I would talk about millions of unfilled jobs. I've refrained from doing that. I was going to criticize you for one thing, and that was, if you're going to call out Jason Street on stage, you don't need to apologize because he's touched more lives than anybody else that I've ever known. But it occurred to me, you've touched a lot of lives too. I've seen you help a lot of people over those years as well, so I'll give you a free pass on the extraneous apology to Jason Street as well.
Ray, you got to talk in the microphone. Nobody can
Oh,
hear
I'm so sorry. Did everyone not hear that? Should I start over, Jason? Okay. But yes, I love the overall talk. I like the climb metaphor. Just to let you know, if you want to use a picture of my son in one of your slides, it'd actually be better to use like a GIF because it's only a 4-second video.
And he has a Wikipedia page, so it's not like I took the picture. So, anyway.
Very good. Thank you so much. All right. Way to go, Grinner. Yes, absolutely.
So has anyone looked at the schedule? Are we running on time or what?
Are we ever on time?
No.
Why
do we have a schedule?
What are they going to do? Not invite us back next year?
Yeah.
All right, so has anyone worked in a SOC before? Anybody? Has anyone done like that midnight shift or whatever? Oh, yeah. Is it is there any way that you could have made that experience more exciting? Right.
Legally?
And so Tyler is giving a talk on maybe some suggestions that we can implement.
Hi, I'm Tyler. Just give me a second. I will.
Somebody brought food for grab.
It's my bribe for you. Okay. Oh, yeah, let's do the bribes, I guess. Go ahead. Commence the bribes.
What the hell is this?
Nice.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's one iCar patch left, so let them fight.
Oh, wow.
I think you should get it.
I'm going to put that on.
Isn't this like the...
Oh, okay, hang on. So Tyler, they gave me a hat, but I already have one. So take your pick. Do you want the antlers or do you want the hat?
For me?
Yeah, I'll help you.
I don't think it's gonna, anyway.
It'll fit. There you go. You got it. You good.
See, I was gonna make him give his talk in antlers, but okay.
Make sure you get a picture before you take that off.
And I didn't realize there was going to be 4 judges, so.
That's okay.
4 judge, I'm gonna
Neither
make
did
a-
Greg's apparently.
I'll do a
Thanks for rubbing it in again.
give you a $50, $50 to whatever charity.
Minus 1,000 points.
So, my name's Tyler Moody. The talk that I'm giving is on sock humor, using memes and chaos to enhance detection. And this is not me. Oh, this is not me. This is me. So over a decade, I've been an InfoSec in IT. I've evolved from a 90s phone freaker into a global security analyst. Ranged from sysadmin roles to ISO management and offensive security testing. Louder, yeah, okay. I'm trying, man.
We're the judges.
I have a pertinent slide coming up next that actually describes. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, currently I specialize in emulation, purple teaming, password auditing, building real-world testing frameworks for defensive hardening. A lot of unconventional defensive methods by offensive means. Yep, this is my first talk ever. This will be awkward. Very awkward. Thank you. Again, I am a low talker, so I'm going to take my friend's advice and try to keep the mic right up here at my mouth. Self-deprecation. So I was hoping, well, the judges, you know, beware for the judges, keep sparing gifts. So a little bit of an introduction. This is about alert fatigue. It's something that's, you know, basically really challenging SOC teams, causing burnouts and missed threats. This is going to demonstrate how humor and controlled chaos can enhance detection capabilities, boost team engagement, and kind of break down the monotony of routine security operations. It's going to break down information silos sometimes, promoting shared knowledge and inclusiveness. Yep, it might also shake up a toxic environment. Might. Depends on how bad it is. So, and some of the tools that I'm using are basically just memes as alerts, such as the Rick Astley ransomware detected, fake DLP when we were testing that. So, you know, automating meme-based alerts. And it keeps the SOC teams engaged and attentive. Some examples and benefits, you know, creating creative testing scenarios. Examples of humorous attack simulations are kitten ransomware, Space Cat meme payloads, which, you know, benefits in the whole team enhancing their knowledge, improving the detection rules and workflows. And it aids in breaking through those information silos and also promotes inclusion. Disruption by breaking down silos. Good. So how to use memes and chaos to improve detection. This is what I've learned recently while working onboarded in a new Tier 1 SOC team, and a lot of it's from my previous experience with 2 other teams. If onboarding a new team isn't enough, it's also very chaotic with the volume of alerts, deployments of new alerts, and the real need for tuning. So here's what I did for some fun. Added chaos to an already chaotic mix. Made it fun and humorous while doing a wide variety of testing, new alerts, and rules. I basically started stress testing everything.
All right.
But whenever possible, I troll all the teams. Yes, troll them. And it does work, sometimes. Like using weird fonts and colors. I was going to do the remainder of this presentation in School Bus Yellow and Comic Sans font. Not really, I mean, you know. I actually thought about doing that really and kind of gradually, just to see if anyone noticed. Disclaimer. Know when not to go too far. We don't end up in HR, and my boss is watching this remotely, so I hope he appreciates this disclaimer. I'm glad y'all all agree with the disclaimer. So I actually started trolling my old teammates, editing website HTML, and I found out a lot of them did not know what that was. And that was a real eye-opener for me. And you'll be surprised at the response. Not only did they show an interest in learning how, but many took the initiative to learn on their own. Some simple methods that I used were password threat hunt shenanigans, creating fake passwords, Excel spreadsheets, all in clear text files, taking it further and encrypted in base 64. Some simple making a game out of it, using steganography to create a custom alert. If they don't know Stego, they'll at least try learning it. Or die trying. I was bored, so I just started creating ridiculously long file paths and created a variety of dummy files with fake but somewhat funny usernames. And, you know, if you've deployed rules through XDR, it's also a great way to find out some blind spots there. Such as just burying stuff in your C drive, like, you know, a really long file path with nothing to see here, or is there? Who knows? After testing, I also made some fun file names and folders and tried to make them interesting, like passwords P, you know, passwords different permutations. After testing this, our password detection improved. So you and your team need to know your environment, you know, and it's good to figure out those thresholds. Here's an example. On the surface, it just looks like a false positive, unless you change the color. I had fun creating the fake passwords and names. That was really a lot of fun. And taking a step further, you would be surprised at how little experience with even simple base 64 encryption many new professionals might have. And some places that go well beyond tier 1, unfortunately. Hopefully only a few think it's the actual password. And who could resist adding a second Excel sheet just for memes like barfing unicorns? That's my favorite. And for random fun, I incorporated humor into other alerts. When they trigger in other departments or management might be involved, humor does make a difference. It lightens the blow. Like DLP testing, I incorporated humor into other alerts. As they trigger, it makes a big difference. It highlights the gaps in DLP configurations, reinforces the need to test filters with creative but low-risk payloads. This is actually an example verbatim from 2 different alerts that I did, one with a medical ID and to test a regex and Cisco iron port. Using GPT, I had it create a 500-word email, going into alarmingly bizarre detail, painting myself as suffering from a rare psychological disorder known to the patient as Smurf-itis. In real life, I've had worse. Just kidding, not really, but maybe. It actually tripped the PHI alerts, but not only with the medical ID, just the content. I had fun setting up some bait for a virtual disk detection alert while securing an email as well. It also tested the ingress of our email threat defense, which we were able to remediate, and I thought I could use it further. And you know, I probably could have had a better name or a funnier name for the virtual disk, but hey, you know, you could tell who wants to click on your taxes, I guess. So lessons learned from that: threat detection improves, alert responses improves, it exposes areas where vendors are in need of improvement, makes it fun for already fatigued teams, allows me to get a good grasp on the new team and their knowledge and skill sets. It also engages the new team with incentives to learn new skills. And overall, the greatest reward in building a culture, and the greatest reward was building a culture of engagement. So kicking it up a notch, when developing a game plan to incrementally test ransomware behavior, I began applying the same tactic. Who doesn't love kittens in space? Some emulation methods, ransomware. Generate thousands of files in directories loaded with space cat memes. because who doesn't love cats in space? Use different extensions, file extensions, instead of .crypto or things like that. Like Elmer Fudd has a surprisingly high IQ. Make up bizarre shit. Okay, emulation methods. Yeah, ransomware. The README files, and usually one paragraph of like, hey, we've got your files and stuff like that. I made them bizarrely crazy. That's something that I'm trying to test next, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And kitten meme ransomware, to really kind of throw them off and see how they respond to it. Like they'll be like, why are my TPS reports all ending in .meow? I guess the SOC would need to fix that, right, meow? Our engineers.
All right.
And also, the Rickroll ransomware. Yeah, it's a classic. Oldie but goodie, but I feel like it's kind of played out. But for me, old. So. No, we're never going to get it up. Let's give it up. So the lessons learned from that, creativity can reveal gaps in detection. Humor does foster team collaboration and building. Incremental testing builds robust SOC workflows, and overall it boosts morale. Laughter and creativity are powerful tools, especially for improving security operations, even when they're well fatigued. So conclusion, some actionable steps. Experiment with creative testing methods. Share findings to foster a culture of engagement. I don't feel like we have that enough. Continuously innovate for better security outcomes. Don't give up on that. And have fun with it. This is something I did for fun because I just like to push the boundaries inch by inch. It's in my nature. And be creative. Think of different ways to test, whether it's through different scripting, code, encryption, or encoding methods, or other methods not typically used by ransomware threat actors or groups. And be innovative. Also, definitely reward the SOC. Make it up to them by getting them DoorDash gift cards, or if they were able to be impressively responsive and stay on top of the alerts, make sure they get recognized and get credit for their efforts. Just like to say thanks to ShmooCon, the Shmoo group, from Bruce to Heidi, all the labs folks. Awesome years that it's been. My parents, my family, my friends who inspired me to talk. Joe Shopman, it's been a massive inspiration for encouraging me. Kiwi, Sapphire, Ben, all of the hack pack from Raleigh to NC State. You guys rock. You're awesome. And also my coworkers, past and present, especially the new Tier 1 SOC, who've been and continue to deal with more than anyone could imagine. I have no clue where the time is. Did you flick me off to give me the time? 45 seconds. Oh. Awesome. Okay, next slide. Questions? Questions?
Very quick. Okay. Yep, I will. Okay, I'll be very, very, very quick. First of all, I got to say about the bribe. They came up with this shirt. They brought this shirt to me, and I was about to put it on, and then I noticed that in addition to this photo, they added this text, which I don't know if I can quite pull that off or not. I mean, it's kind of like Michael Scott having the world's best boss coffee cup that he bought himself. But I will tell you, the first time I ever gave a fire talk, my average heart rate was 158. And Tyler, I don't think your average heart rate was 158 on that one. But I did enjoy the talk. It was a lot of fun.
I am going to go see my hearing specialist. I'm not sure I heard anything. Your slides are amazing. I would encourage you to work on projection. And I know this was your very first talk, but those were better slides than I expect from someone giving their very first talk. So Yeah. I'm a cat lady. You have cat memes, of course. So plus 2,000 points for your meme game, another 200 for your self-awareness about being a low talker, but you're gonna lose those 200 because you're aware of it, but like work on the low talking, please, because I would love to have heard more of what I did.
I can't even hear myself.
I have no idea what he just said. And then one last thing. You covered what you got out of it that was good. If there were any downsides, like, I don't know, even a pissed off boss or something, like even saying, and here were some of the downsides you should watch out for, would be a nice balance to your conclusions.
Yeah, don't cross the HR line. I'm going to, first, congratulations, first talk. Awesome job. Do more talks.
Yes.
The key to a good talk, not necessarily good slides, but a good talk is practice. Give it to yourself in the mirror, give it to family and friends. You should be able to do your talk inside and out without slides at all by yourself. And that's where you can also practice projection. I don't know how many other old farts there are in here in the room that remember Stephen Wright.
Yeah.
Is this Stephen Wright?
Yes.
Yeah. Go look him up on YouTube. He's an old comedian, and he has a style very similar to how you present. So if you can adopt his style and project, you'll have a winning combination.
Yeah.
Awesome. And don't read the slides. Cardinal sin. Do not read the slides. Because by the time you finish reading it, their audience has already read it. And they're laughing, you know, ahead of you or behind you. But I will say, you made the audience laugh a lot, which is good. And a key point in your entire talk is that as this industry gets more professional, we forget our shenanigans. We have to get back to the shenanigans. There is not
100%.
enough shenanigans. All right? And I think that's the whole message you're trying to give, and I would love to have more shenanigans,
Yeah,
especially at work.
The shenanigans that don't get you fired shenanigans. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so best first talk ever from Eeyore. You were very sad sounding, but here's the thing. Everyone is saying some form of practice. Mine's a little bit different in that I want you to lean in to your presentation style. I think that's a little bit of what Space Rogue was saying, but don't try to change yourself to sound more like other speakers. Just lean into that monotone. What I would say is that, you know, your gags are great. Practice punchlines so that what you are saying in your monotone comes through because it's shorter, it's punchier and whatnot. But, you know, I hope you find your Christopher Robin because I really enjoyed your talk. Thanks.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right, I hear Gabe.
Tell them all to get up and move around a little bit. We've all been sitting here an hour.
All right. I've been instructed that everybody has to stand up and do some jumping jacks or something.
What is that?
I don't know.
Does anybody want to hear what Katie's best advice to me about the whole day was today, this morning? Does anybody want to hear that?
I don't remember what it was.
She
Tell
said,
me.
she said, Ray, go to the bathroom before it starts because there's no bathroom breaks. And so I thought that was pretty good advice. Does anybody know why a television commercial is 30 seconds long? Because a human being urinates for 26 seconds. And the television people chose that on purpose. But there you go.
73% of statistics are
Of
made
course.
up.
Speaking of
You're
statistics,
supposed to make a joke about don't you wash your hands, right? That's what you're supposed to say.
We know you don't.
A jaunty angle. I thought you like put something in front of the stage or something. No. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't a big kick me sign up there or something. You know, I'm talking about shenanigans, and then you're like doing shenanigans.
all right, so I don't know what the title of this talk means, It was definitely over my head, but I got to look at the abstract and the whole submission, and I love stats and learning new distribution stuff and that can help us in the security community really seemed like an appropriate talk. So with that, I'll hand it over to Gabe.
Hey, thank you. Can everyone hear me? That's good? Yay. Hopefully you got to move around a little bit. And I apologize, I don't have pretty slides. I had a nice, pretty setup for my slides, but it's 15 years old and it's getting really dated. And Melanie's here, and now I feel really guilty for not asking her to make me nicer slides. But, I really appreciate being here. I'm not looking to win anything. I'm glad I'm with my friends, getting to talk about something that I really enjoy. It's a little outside the norm. And that's statistical distributions, right? No. Just a little. Yeah, me? No. And so distributions, okay, so show of hands, if I asked you what a distribution was, if you saw one on the street, you'd know what it was, or if I had to pay you to draw one, you kind of know what it was. You'd be able to oh, it goes up and goes down, something like that. Now, if I asked you if you understood them, you understand the math behind them, you know when to use them and stuff, right, it's a smaller group, and that's definitely me as well. I get the concept, but I don't get a lot of the details, or I didn't, until I kind of looked at them a different way. And so that's why I kind of wanted to come up and talk, because hopefully I can convince you as well that they're just like any other tool that you use, right? They're like a wrench or a command line tool or a spatula, anything. And it's something that you use when it makes sense and that you don't worry about when it doesn't. And so this is me. I am special just like every single one of you. I have the same disclaimer that Amanda had earlier. All this says is that I am not now responsible for your cybersecurity. So, understandably, in many different ways in senses. And so this talk starts with data. So you've got data, and you want to do something with that data. And so what are you going to do with it? First, you could just read it, right? This is text. I mean, granted, this is out of a 10 gigabyte file, and so to read to the end would take a while, but maybe you've got a lot of time. I don't know. Or maybe if you want to save some time, you could search for something, but this is NetFlowy stuff, right? What are you going to search for? Maybe you have an IP to search for, but it's ports and flags and bytes. It's not the most greppable stuff. And so how do you give meaning to data like this? A good way is to kind of just describe it all together. And this aggregates it, it summarizes it, and anonymizes it, and it puts it into a distribution. And so a distribution is basically where whatever that thing you're looking at is. And in this case, this is the ratio of data in to data out by IP address over just a free data set online. And so with that, we can actually look at this and understand a couple of things. The first is that part of the data is more in than out. Second, it's mostly clustered around kind of the 0 point. And third, there's stuff that's way out on the edges. But this is just a picture. And so how are you going to share that? How are you going to use that? And so one way that we can describe a description is with percentiles. And this is if you just took the data and you said, okay, where's the point where 1% of the data is less than that? And then 2, and then 3. And so you do that 100 times. Or you do it 4 times or 50 times. It doesn't matter. In a lot of the slides up in the upper right, you'll see a little function. It's our code, but I don't expect you to run that. I'm trying to make the point that these are one-line things to do. These are the types of things we do every day to figure these things out. And this is useful, right? If you want to figure out, is this new thing I got in this new ratio average for this kind of data, you could go and look and say, is it outside kind of the 5 bubbles on the bottom or on the top, or is it really in that middle area? But this way of communicating data, Quantiles has a couple of problems. Percentiles, it's right, if the data is outside this, because this was made from 10 megabytes of a 10 gigabyte file, Some things are probably outside that. And so how do you describe those? Or what about if you had to communicate a dozen of these every API call, right? Like 100 once is fine, but 100 times every couple of seconds starts to add up. Or what if you just wanted to know the difference between 2 points, right? There's like 2 points over on the side. How do you find that middle point? You need some other things, right? And so now we get like this big eye chart that you don't have to worry about. This is like what we call frequentist distributions. And this is where distributions get scary, because these have long names and there's math associated with them. And that's scary. It's scary to a point, until you realize the reason it has some funky-ass name is because some math person did a whole bunch of fancy math, and because they did the math, they got to name it. And that means 2 things for you. 1, you don't have to understand the math. You just have to live with the name they gave that thing. And now you get to use it. So on the next slide, we're going to use the logistic Kashi there, and we don't have to know a whole lot about that. We're going to use it because it looks kind of like the normal distribution right beside it, but it's thinner. And when we apply that to our data, you go, hey, that kind of describes our data. It's scaled a little bit higher, but that really doesn't matter. It's a probability distribution. And so now we can explain the data that's way out to the sides. We can communicate this with just 2 values. We only have to send 2 things. Hey, that's really nice. But of course, this way comes with its own caveats. You had to pick the shape, and it doesn't exactly fit it. But it's helpful. And there's also a bunch of like weird assumptions and caveats that you probably don't have to deal with, but they're there, and your math teacher is going to tell you that they exist, and then you're going to worry about them for the next 10 years, never understanding them. Maybe you want to get away from that, and then there's this like third way to describe this called Bayesian math, and we are not here for the next 3 hours, so I'm not going to explain that a whole lot. The general idea is that if you know something now, the next thing you know probably had something to do with the last thing you knew. And so the big point is these are all different tools to do a job. The job is you want to describe this data. These are tools you can use. And the tools have different benefits, different downsides. There are different size wrenches for different size bolts. You use the wrench that fits the bolt. I have 5 different spatulas that do random different things. I cook a lot. You use the right tool for the job. And so what are some of those problems you can solve? First, you can communicate data. So this is a figure out of the Verizon Data Breach Investigations report from a couple of years ago. I use it because I wrote it, I wrote this figure. And so I know like a little bit about it. And there's some figure behind these numbers. But at the short point, I could say, you can imagine this in like any security report, right? 42% of companies, or the average company, 40%, 2% of their documents malware come as Office documents. Sorry, I fumbled the hell out of that. 42%, right? And if you were kind of assuming what that looks like in a shape, I'm going to draw on side, which no one does, probably for good reason. It would look kind of like that, right? You're like, hey, that 42% is in the middle somewhere, and it's probably normal on the sides. That's not what this data looks like at all. In reality, that 42%, it's in the middle of companies, but 25 or about as many companies have 25% of their malware come by Office documents as 75%. It's this very flat distribution. And so the reason we put these quantiles into the report was that the one number didn't represent the data, and it almost felt like lying to just give this number when the underlying data was not what people would expect it to look like. And so this is a way to better communicate the information we're trying to share. Or has anyone in here done like FAIR assessments? Ooh, that's not a good sign. So the stuff on the right side is from Dave Swirsky. And the second step in that whole process is to gather input. Something like, how often or how likely do you think a attacker is to exploit this vulnerability? And so, maybe you go to EPSS and it says 20% or something, but you're like, hey, our company isn't exactly that. So we may want to give ourselves a little bit of grace on either side. how do I communicate this like curve of all the things it might be that I want to communicate? And so there's a distribution called a beta PERT distribution. And let's remember to go back to the thing where we didn't get to name these things, and so the name doesn't have to make sense to us. What you need to know about it is it communicates three things: the high, the low, and the middle. And so if you can define, hey, I think this is below this number, and this is above this number, and this number seems like the most likely middle point, I can communicate that whole distribution to people. And then later on, your software does the cool simulation in the lower right that makes your executives happy. And you did it in this very simple, structured way. And one of the hills that I am super willing to go die on is that we are terrible about communicating the uncertainty in what we know in cybersecurity. And so in the DVR, if I talk about the overarching data, there's probably 2,000 breaches in there, and it looks like the thing in the middle. But if I'm talking about a small subset of the data, like the thing on the right, that's like 37 breaches. And this is important because in the middle, that's like plus or minus 2%, that slope of the bar chart. On the right, it's like plus or minus 10%. And so, right, I only have a sample of all the breaches in the world. But if I had all the breaches in the world, I'd be pretty confident that the middle one, credentials were more likely than phishing. The top bar was more likely than the middle bar. However, the 37 samples I have wouldn't give me that confidence on the bottom three, right? They kind of overlap. And we don't communicate that. And we just put like a number in a report. And people go out and they act on that number without knowing the confidence we have in our numbers, right? And that's frustrating to me. And so this is something that's easy to communicate. So the top code on the right, again, don't worry about going and running this code. It's just example stuff. It's a one-liner to go describe this in a frequentist way. It's a one-liner to describe it in a Bayesian way. It's a two-liner to bootstrap it, which is like doing it just straight from the data. You don't have to make any assumptions. It feels clean. You feel good about yourself when you left. You know, you don't go to sleep worrying about all the things you ignored. This is stuff that any of us can use, and these are tools that any of us that run normal tools can run. So one final example from security data is, this is, if the census folks are in the crowd, hi. I pulled a bunch of census data, top 1,000 ports, over 19.5 million Linux computers. And this is the distribution of how often they occur. So the things in like the 10 million area, those are right, like port 80, 443, 22, stuff like that. And I might want to ask, how common is port 91 to see? And so we can do that. We can look, and it turns out that 69% of ports occur more often. 31% occur less. So it's actually not that uncommon. It kind of fits in this really high mode of the distribution. There's a lot of stuff around it. On the other hand, you could like look at this, right? And you could go, hey, there's a really, there's obviously this stuff out at 10,000. Then there's this like bubble of stuff at like 10 million, bubble at 1 million, more at 100,000. Maybe those are like services, like clusters of services. And then this big bubble around 10,000, which starts to look a lot like Linux computers put on the internet with all their ports open and no firewall. And so maybe being in that big block is not a great thing. And that's the point. This is a tool that you started with, and now you can go and explore. And now you can go say, hey, I want to look at what ports occur around 1 million or 100,000 or 10,000. You know, and you can work from there. And so in conclusion, maybe, there we go. Distributions are just a tool. You know, we started with that. We said, you know, you need to know how to use your data, and hopefully this gives you some functions, some ways to go about using it, and we've hopefully explained some of the options you have for what you can use it for: communicating, anonymizing, summarizing, describing, explaining, dealing with uncertainty, and how likely things are. And so at the end of the day, distribution shouldn't be something scary. It should just be a tool that you can use to make your life easier, and it's not something you need to use. If you don't need to use it, don't worry about it. And so thank you for sitting up here, listening to me, and I'm so lucky to get to communicate and share the things that are interesting to me with you, and for you to come and join me. So thank you for all of you being here.
That was awesome.
Math. Yeah.
Let's go shopping.
Let's go shopping, right. I want to applaud you for bringing metrics are important in our industry, and it's also important to realize that, what's the saying, lies, damn lies, and statistics, right? So, math. That's about all I got for you. Great presentation style. The slides were awesome. The content, I think, was a little over my head, but it's an important topic, and I'm glad you brought it here.
I would just say I agree that there was a lot of math there, but I learned more in the last 15 minutes about statistics than I did at 2 semesters of Purdue statistics. You did a great job of explaining that. I thought it was fantastic. I will also tell you, my second point and my last point is this. You have this entire audience enthralled. I was looking out and watching body language, and everyone was either looking at you or the slides. You had this audience, and when you have that audience, I will tell you, embrace that moment because it's rare, and enjoy every second of it.
Thank you.
Data, I just meta. Thank you. So I minored in mathematics, and I was having a difficult time following like where you were trying to get to with this until the end, and then I was like, oh, okay, I see what he's saying. I really liked the point when you were talking about how a lot of the representation of data doesn't help us make decisions, and yet people are using whatever representation is presented to them to make decisions. And I think that is something that, if you were to refine this talk, I would lean into that, really emphasize that at the beginning, because that was really the, the point for me was it's a communication tool, and it's only as good as how, you can make those graphs come across to someone in order for them to make the right decision. And we're all dealing with limited resources, I don't need to tell anybody in this room how many budget cuts and layoffs and do more with less have happened. So the ability to visualize data in a meaningful way is, it's exactly where we need to be coming from. So yeah, and then the only other thing was you were talking about data as a communication tool. Some of your slide labels were hard to read, so it was kind of like you were communicating in this meta layer. Yes, I'm bringing it back to meta. Data, I just meta. The meta layer for me was your slides themselves needed to be better communication tools. You needed to kind of work on that part. But I love the DBIR, so you get extra points for that, so thank you.
I think anything I would say would echo Katie in that you're clearly an experienced speaker, great stage presence, but early on saying, here's what you would use distributions for, why they're valuable, here's who uses them typically, and then jumping into the math of how they work would be really useful for people to be like, oh, I should pay attention to this one because I can use this.
Well, thank you. And thank you for none of the points, like the data science in me would have been super embarrassed. No. Thank you.
But minus 500 points for no bribes.
I did
think
make
you're
that
the first speaker with no bribes.
donation
You made
earlier.
a donation.
Oh, okay, then I take
But
it back,
I wasn't-
plus 1,000 points.
I wasn't going to worry about it.
All right.
Richard Zach. Okay. How you doing?
Oh, jeez.
By the way, I was going back and forth between that bad joke I made about data and I love it when he calls me big data. So you got both. You're welcome.
Very small.
What is this little pouring? What is this?
Oh, no, thank you.
What is it?
Absinthe.
I'll try anything once.
No, that's not legal, but I still don't like the taste.
This is not tradition, by the way.
What? Absinthe? No, just liquor.
Oh, there's one more? There's one more? And aren't you supposed to like melt the sugar cube over it or something?
I have
Here, you want
never
coconut?
had absinthe.
This
I
is
have
really
no idea
good.
what you're supposed to do.
This one was too hard.
All right, this is the next to the last ShmooCon Fire Talk ever.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Anyway, this was, so I was looking through some of the submissions, and this seemed like pretty mature database, or malware database project. It's seemed to go on for at least several years. And then, this is a new speaker. So he's been working on this cool project all these years, and I'm honored to have Richard here tell us about it as his first talk ever. With that, Richard.
Hello, everyone. It's not my first talk ever, but it's my first talk at ShmooCon.
There you go.
So I am thrilled and honored to be here, so thank you so much. So I'd like to share with you all something I've been working on. Kind of, it started as like a, like quarantine time, pandemic. We all went home and had nothing to do. And I had this idea that started from some work experience. And I thought, well, hey, if I'm going to be home, I might as well get started on it. Before I go too far, though, I want to say I really like the first talk, the hobo talk, and especially the thing. I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the part about, I don't know the wording, I totally forgot, but it was about the filling in the gaps, I guess, about like making your own work. And I felt like, this was something that, my office where we're looking at malware, just obscene amounts of malware, like terabytes, millions of files. And I was looking around and there weren't a lot of projects to kind of help people keep track of, like, I have a shitload of malware. How do I store this stuff and keep track of it and metadata about it and all that good stuff? And I thought, well, I could do that. So really quick, who am I? I'm a programmer, and lately I've been a malware and machine learning researcher at day job. I don't want to mention them because I'm here on my own. This is my own time. This is my own project, and they don't get to have the free advertising.
Good.
I will also add that thank you. I love open source. I love Linux. Been a long time Linux user. I love Rust. Rust has been a huge pain, but it's been fantastic. This all makes sense in a minute. So MalwareDB. So I started off, and we're looking at malware and goodware, and we're trying to make machine learning models to be able to tell the difference. And I found this really cool project that kind of got me started or inspired called VxCage. And it's a Python script, and it lets you put a file into MongoDB, and then you can retrieve the file if you know the SHA-256 hash. And I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool, but we can do better. So I started with the basics, and I'm thinking, okay, we can store and retrieve our samples, but let's store some extra data. Let's store some additional hash types. Let's try to parse out some features. So I made an executable parser, some document parsers. They're not quite production ready, but they're getting there, I think. But I wanted to be able to look at a file and figure out, well, what can we learn about a file given just a single file? And kind of build on this. And so one of the things we can do, well, I mean, we all know about crypto hashes, or I'm sorry, like cryptographic strong hashes. But there's another group of hashes that are fuzzy hashes or similarity hashes. And these allow you to, as you would expect, you get a hash. But now you can compare two hashes, and you can get some kind of understanding as to how similar are these files without having to go back and look at these files. And so now we can see are two files similar to each other in the case of SSDeep or LZJD, or maybe we can see how far apart are they from each other. And so these are some things that are supported by VirusTotal, for example, but you can't search on it. So I thought, well, we can search based on this. information that we can extract. And so we can sort these files based on where we got them from, maybe some labels. You know, where you got them from might be something like, hey, I got them from VirusShare or VirusTotal. Or maybe you got it from some campaign or from some client data. And the difference there being, well, if it's public data, well, I can share it with third-party collaborators. But if it's client data, well, maybe you can't share that with anybody. So it's good to keep track of all of this. And the idea here is that when you look at a file, though, you have just that one file. And that file alone doesn't really tell you anything. I mean, you might be able to say, okay, it's malicious, or maybe an analyst can do a deep dive, but it's still just a single file by itself. But if we can extract features from these files and keep track of these features, maybe we can start to provide some context. And the context was this information that a user can provide. So optionally, you can set this up and you can have some tie into VirusTotal. So maybe you want to know if the file has been detected as being malicious by some AVs. Maybe you want to know what the label is. There's lots of great tools out there like Clarify, for example, which can look at a bunch of malware labels, or sorry, AV labels, and come up with some kind of like common malware family information, which is kind of hard to come by in a ground truth kind of way. The other thing too is that if you're going to collect all this malware and goodware, you know, it would really suck if your endpoint security software went and deleted it for you. So MalwareDB has an optional feature of encrypted. So if you go and retrieve the file, MalwareDB will go and decrypt it for you, but it will manage the keys so that a security software doesn't go and delete it. So why are we doing all this? So sometimes it's helpful to know when you got a malware sample and where you got it from. So like I said, maybe if it's a some client engagement or something that's public, you know, maybe you want to know if there's any overlap. Maybe you can share it, maybe you can't. The other thing too is with these similarity hashes, we might be able to see A, you have a given file, have I seen those before, or something similar, but B, maybe there's something going on between some different client engagements or some different types of private data that maybe can't be shared. Maybe there's a bigger picture to be seen, or maybe not. But ultimately, you know, you might have a sample. You know, if you're working on a team, you might have some data about this malware, and you can store it in this database, and maybe there's teammates who could benefit from being able to also see this information without having to go back and reanalyze the thing. So really quick, what does this thing look like? It's a simple client-server application. The server runs on some machine. It uses Postgres as a backend. It uses a standard HTTP interface. And this is important because this also means that if you had some other mechanism for storing malware or storing information about malware, you know, MalwareDB was designed to be easily integratable to other systems. So it's not like this is the silo where you put your stuff. You can use it as a extra thing to store additional information, or maybe be an alternative way to store files. So it's meant to be interoperable. It has a Postgres backend. Now, this is important. I mean, I love Postgres. It's fast, it's open source, it's fantastic. But it also allows for an easy way to have extensions. And so these similarity metrics, you know, normally you'd have to go and look at all of the data, but with an extension, we can have the database do that for us. So it's a way to kind of optimize the back end so that the system hopefully runs a little bit faster. It's all open source, and it's available on GitHub. There's a link at the end, and as I had said, it's written in Rust. I love Rust, as apparently some other folks do too. It's fast, it's memory safe, and I have to say, after getting used to it, I've really found that it's been the language I've been the most productive in. Yes. So in the future, this MalwareDB is something for you to use on-prem. It's something for you to use on your machine with your data because it's yours. But one of the things I want to do is I want to be able to kind of give away for people to kind of kickstart the whole process. So I have all of the VirusShare data, virushare.org, if you're not familiar. They provide a lot of malware that the community has provided over the years, and I want to start a way where when you set up MalwareDB and set up, if you don't have any malware to start with, that you could start with the VirusShare data so that you have something to start with to compare against and to look at and to kick the tires. Earlier I had mentioned about parsing files and looking at features, and so one of the things that I'd like to do is to extract information about these files, whether it's number of sections or names of sections or a document title or number of pages or whatever anybody else can think of, and see if we could start training some machine learning models. I mean, of course, AI is the new hotness, I guess. And so I'm thinking we could have AI models to start doing some clustering. There might be ways where AI could help with identifying related malwares or threat actors or relationships between samples that maybe are not previously known. It also allows folks to train their own models, or would allow, it's not there yet, to train their own models for is it good or is it bad? And you could train that based on your own data. And then as you continuously add more data, you can then improve these models over time. I also want to be clear, though, it doesn't make the determination of goodware or malware for you. That would still be up to the human because you can't hold a machine responsible. Speaking of machines, though, I asked Apple Intelligence last night what a malware database would look like. And wow. I think this is the best result. I mean, we have that cylinder kind of thing, which a lot of diagrams use to represent a database, and that bug-looking thing looks pretty sinister to me, so. But that's all I have for you. The code is on GitHub, and if you're already a station, you can cargo install MalwareDB and the client and give it a shot. And the contributions are welcome, whether it's an issue or a pull request or any kind of discussion. I'd love to hear from anyone. So, thank you.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
So how would you know how to work with this? Because I get it, I gave you plus 100K for creating something that can help teams figure out relationships between samples. But how do you actually, essentially, how do you chicken and egg this thing? How do you use it in practicality to find those relationships if you
Sure.
if you're not already aware that some of your samples have those relationships?
So two things. One is you have to load data into it. And so one of the things I want to do is to be able to provide a mechanism for preloading or pre-providing some of this data based on VirusShare information. So at least you have something to start with. But the idea is that you could go and, given a sample that you have, you could query it, the database, and say, I have this similarity hash, what else could be similar? And it can give you results based on that. But in the future, and this part isn't done, is that I want to be able to add the machine learning part to start building this cluster information. So once the data is there, then start working on that. And so I have some machines in the basement that I have set up to run this. I'm not quite there yet because I still have some other bugs to iron out, but it is mostly feature complete. So I think it's something that could be done in the future when the data is all there. But yeah, load the data in, ask it questions.
Got it. Can I just keep going? Yeah, go. All right. So you answered one of the questions that I had, which was, could AI help with this? And you said, yes, actually, that would be one of the things to help identify some of those clusters. One of the key things that's important in trying to do this work is you're not going to have all the institutional knowledge in every team, and so I feel like this is a really strong bridge. So plus 100K for that. My rubric changes with every talk, so just don't judge based on the numbers of points. Got to give you a -1,000 on not knowing that I despise licorice and presenting me with absinthe. Yuck, yuck, yuck. I'm half Greek, and there was an incident with the ouzo, and you should just remember this for if I'm ever a judge again.
Noted.
That's totally my bad.
Right? And then I think the last thing is plus $1 million for bringing code to the ShmooCon Firetalks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I hate this talk because I can find nothing bad to say about it. I thought it was a great talk. Thank you for bringing a solid technical talk. I do think you have an opportunity for merch income with that cute little malware DB. I would totally buy a plushie of that.
Yeah, I don't know how to follow that up. Yeah, great talk, really technical, awesome. I love the idea that you're launching, I assume it's a launch with this talk here at ShmooCon. Your website's a year old, but that's fine. We found the website halfway through the talk, and then we found the GitHub. It's like, oh, he committed yesterday, so that was good. Because I thought it was a year-old project at first.
No, it's been gradually committed. There was some dependabot.
Do you have other people working on it with you?
No, it's just me.
Are you requesting other people to work on it with you?
Yeah, I would love that.
All right, well, you heard him, right? Help him out.
Come jump on in.
That's all I got.
So I thought your timing was awesome. When you got to the first slide about who am I was trying to remember if it was Danny Akaki or if it was Tinkersec, or I couldn't remember who told me this one time, but they said, Ray, move your who am I slide to the end because it's the least important slide that anyone cares about. And I was worried for a minute when you showed that slide for 90 seconds, but your timing was impeccable. The only piece of advice I could possibly give you besides that is, and this is a tip for everyone in the audience, period, if you have to show a really long URL to a conference, you can buy a short.io URL shortener for $4. So you could have like ShmooCon2025.io/Ray's talk or whatever that is, or whatever it is, and that may be good. Although I think the QR codes are finally making that unnecessary and novel regardless. But I actually thought it was a fantastic talk, and I was really, really appreciative of the timing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this is it. This is the last talk. Are you nervous?
The last fire talk ever.
Yeah.
More?
But, oh, did you want to use this? Okay. So this is an interesting talk. The description's cool. So we've all been through the ShmooCon ticket F5 thing, right? Right, so we've done that. And then there's the whole CAPTCHA thing that comes up, right? And so Carl, looked at ways that we could possibly gain that. So with that, Carl?
All right, thanks. Yeah, so this is a trifecta of techniques that could be used to bypass ShmooCon's anti-bot measures. This is kind of dropping O-Day, but Heidi said it's okay. So quick disclaimer, nothing here represents my employer or necessarily their views. None of the attacks in this talk have been used. I have legitimately acquired ShmooCon tickets for every year I attended, and use of these techniques might be caught by human inspection of the logs and or violate terms of service. So with that out of the way, and given that it's the last con, how many of you have actually cheated? You're anonymous.
Be honest. Did you cheat?
There's at least a couple out there.
We got three.
You might need to define what you consider cheating.
There's more. I know there's more.
Using a bot of some sort.
Oh, yeah, okay. He means by using bots, not hiring an India call center.
Yeah. All right, so for those of you who got gifted tickets or got it from someone else or whatever, just a quick overview of the process, which will become important later. So the problem is ShmooCon size is limited. They do not want to increase the size. They want fresh blood in the conference. They don't want, the same old timers to come along. If you want more information on why, there is a whole talk called Own the Con that they do every year. I believe it is the final talk, the closing plenary this year. So see that for more information on that. So this creates a very difficult ticketing process, and it sort of looks like this. So you get this wonderful screen, and you keep pressing F5 or refresh or whatever until you get a new link. And then you click the new link, and you get this CAPTCHA.
Yeah.
And then you have to read it and find the word that they want you to enter in the answer box there and submit it. And when you do that, oh, it's sold out.
Yeah, of course.
Trigger
warning, trigger warning.
If you successfully succeed to do all of these steps within like 7 seconds or so, you get this screen where then you are allowed to a leisurely 5 minutes to enter your email address. So how it works, the site is split into 3 different sites. So there's the landing site, which at noon gets updated to have a link to a secret URL, which actually has the CAPTCHA. And this bears the brunt of the F5 traffic. They used to host this on WordPress. It did not work well on WordPress. So the live link goes to this unknown or secret URL. If you go to that correct URL and you fill out the CAPTCHA, you get that gets posted to another page with another kind of predictable but also secret URL. And if you get that right, then you get the reservation screen. So one of the problems here is that the TIC site is designed to be fast, and so it didn't use HTTPS at all for a long time until very recently, but it still doesn't use it by default. The actual registration process where you put in your credit card info is on a third site, which is, of course, secure. So this is all hosted on AWS, and basically you have this clear text traffic of all these interesting URLs transiting the cloud. But let's say you're a suspiciously common ShmooCon attendee and in a position to observe some traffic. What you could do is observe these different URLs that come in over the wire and then just navigate to them yourself and then fill it out with your own details. But you don't need to be in that powerful of a position to pull this off. Basically, anyone with privileged access to your network or anywhere in between can see these URLs. But what if you're not a privileged user? So who here knows what this IP address range is for? Or historically has been? All right, it is for amateur radio and experimenting with amateur radio. Now, the problem with IPv4 is that address space is running out. And so AWS purchased this /10 for $108 million. That's about $25 per IP address. 1 year, the TIC server was in this address space. Since it's, for amateur radio routing experiments, I'm sure this new subnet has solid routing security, right? Well, turns out you can announce a /24 for the address that tix.shmoocon.org is on, pull off some shenanigans, profit, get some tickets. And this is not a theoretical attack. Someone actually pulled this off back in 2022 to steal some cryptocurrency. I would have taken ShmooCon tickets instead. But basically, they did exactly this. They announced a /24 for this 44-block IP address. All right. So what else could you do? Well, why solve the CAPTCHA when you can get a robot to do it for you? So I built a Chrome extension that is designed to solve these very fast. And it's based on this web LLM project that is based on the MLC LLM project, which itself is forked from the Apache TVM project. But basically, it takes these common large language models, compiles them down into WebAssembly that uses Web GPU to run it locally in your browser. And you can package these in an extension as well. So there are a lot of models out there. So I wanted this to run locally, so it needed to be small. It can't be fine-tuned to reject doing weird tasks like solving CAPTCHAs. It turns out that if you run Llama 3.1 in a more accurate mode, it will decline to solve it for you. So I chose this model from Microsoft that has like 3.5 billion parameters, small context window size, so it doesn't need as much memory and can run faster. And it's further quantized down so that it can fit comfortably on your laptop. So if you're curious, this is the system prompt that I give it. I tell it your large language models that solves text CAPTCHAs provided by the user. The solution to the CAPTCHA is always a single word. Limit your response to one word. And then I send it whatever text is on the page. Now, here's the pandering slide. So, who knows who Sam is? You should all be raising your hands by now. So, reportedly, Sam, Ray Redacted's son, has the fastest recorded time in any Olympic event of any sport, any venue, in 2,700 years of competitions. I believe that is a
Oh, that's got to have some applause. Come on now.
So for comparison, round 2 of this ShmooCon filled up in 6.76 seconds. So how does this measure up? All right. So I am going to click on the link that goes to the ticket sales as soon as Sam starts to climb, and we'll see who wins. There we go. And we got the answer. All right, so it can solve this in about 1.3 seconds. Takes a little longer because of network delays and so on and so forth. All right.
Now, when he sees this, he's going to ask you if you can get his friend some tickets to the Olympics, you know.
Once again, going back to that disclaimer. So I did get a sample of previous CAPTCHAs from ShmooCon to try this against. Unfortunately, not all of them. I got about 7. It worked against all of them, including this one troll white conf test, which basically it says, you know, I'm lazy, sorry. Future work, lol, is to classify links as either real or decoys, because they do have a bunch of decoy links around there. And you know, what if CAPTCHAs become significantly more difficult in the future? Well, now we go to crowdsourcing, or call it a botnet if you like. So obviously there are a lot of you who can solve these CAPTCHAs extremely fast. All right, so what if we write another Chrome extension? That Chrome extension would observe navigation if it looks like it's a valid link to a page that looks like it has a CAPTCHA or a solution to the CAPTCHA. You broadcast it to everyone else. So I wrote this simple chat room server that communicates over WebSockets to all the people in your group, and basically it will broadcast it to all your friends. If you would like to play along, I invite you to scan this QR code.
Nobody in this audience better scan the QR code.
Oh, come on. Not adventurous. All right, so I'm going to try to do a live demo. All right. Oh, and by the way, I made a donation.
Oh, nice.
All right. So if you're on your phone, As soon as I go to the fake new page with the actual link, and you click that, and it should, solve it rather quickly, then you get a form. And you should, whoever participated, also have gotten that on their phones. All right, so going back to the presentation here. All right, so defenses. Maybe have unique URLs per user. Maybe derive the URL from a hash of some secret and their IP address. Carrier grade NATs, again, could be a thing because IP addresses are running out. They do look at logs, so maybe some sort of timing analysis and seeing clustered requests together. But there are a lot of requests coming in, and there are various network delays. Maybe we can insert some intentional random weights to sort of screw that up. Maybe we could come up with harder CAPTCHAs. This was just released.
Oh.
This is Play
I would get a ticket every year.
On nightmare mode and kill at least 3 monsters. Maybe AI can already solve that. There are already aim bots and things like that. So this will always be an arms race. Finally, you can use a different model. So for anyone who's been to tour camp, the hardest part of getting to tour camp is getting a ferry reservation. And WashDOT has this system where basically you get in line before 7 a.m. and everyone at 7 a.m. in line gets randomized into a place. The problem is you can bring up multiple browsers, multiple sessions, and sort of game the system that way. Or you could do what Ticketmaster does and have some sort of preference for previous attendees, verified fans, whatever. But this is not something that ShmooCon wants. So in summary, there are various ways that you could have gamed the ShmooCon ticket system, albeit some, like LLMs, are more modern than others. Unfortunately, you can't use these tricks next year. This is a hard problem to solve, and ShmooCon has done it well. Thanks.
I'm actually going to go first because I'm real quick, and we can go in reverse tenure. I can't tell you how beautiful those slides were. I've never seen slides with graphics. Did you do that yourself, or did you hire AI? Or those are beautiful slides.
That is a standard PowerPoint template.
And did you match it to the T-shirt? Is it the same color fonts?
Unintentional.
Okay. I thought that was a nice touch, but I really thought that the content was fascinating. It's certainly poignant to this audience because I think everyone has been through this before, and I thought it was a great talk.
Oh, and by the way, I would close this tab now before someone reverse engineers how to make everyone else go to other URLs.
So I have down some points for Heidi approving the content before you speak, because nobody should have said Heidi. A whole bunch of points for pandering to Ray, points for a live demo, good balance of offense, defense, and entertainment. I loved Terrence and Philip. Your total is 1,000 points Canadian, because Terrence and Philip are Canadian, which totals you down to 693.19 US points.
So I included Terrence in there specifically because he is a foreign national.
Was that Rob doing it? Was it Rob? Was the picture in the middle?
Yeah.
So I need to echo a lot of those comments. Pandering to the judges, that was great. Great way to do it. Live demo gods, I never tempt them. I tell my interns, never tempt them. Always have a backup. I hope you had a backup, but great job there. And I want to call out again the fact that you offered defenses to your attacks. A lot of times we break stuff and say, hey, look, I broke it. Look at me. And we forget to say how you fix it, right? It's important to give the fixes as well as the breaks. So kudos for that.
Okay, they said almost everything that I was going to say except one thing. You did not drop 0 day on ShmooCon. You did coordinated vulnerability disclosure with ShmooCon. And I'm sorry, but that mattered. And more importantly, you did it on an end-of-life technology. Well done.
Grex, you're up.
All right, thank you. All right, so obviously we're right on schedule.
Surprised they haven't kicked us out.
So, but I just want to keep this short and sweet. So I want to thank everyone that came throughout the evening. I want to thank all the contestants that submitted. All the talks were great. I'm sorry we couldn't accept every one of them. I want to thank the presenters that did a great job. It seems like every year it's awesome, and then the next year they're better, and the next year they're better. And so, so everybody did a great job this evening. I want to give a big thanks to the judges this year. Thank you for dealing with the time constraints that we had. And also just overall, just thanks to ShmooCon for having us all these years. Thanks for making Firetalks an official event. Thanks to all the volunteers, like the ShmooCon staff and other volunteers that over the years have stayed late, like this evening. So I just want to give, security, streamers, all that kind of stuff.
Big round of applause for Grex. Honestly, without him, this wouldn't exist. He's the one that puts in most of the work every year. We just show up and sit on stage. He's the one that does all the work.
But thank you. But with that, I'm going to end here. Come to closing ceremonies. So, we'll see who the top winners were. But with that, I'm going to close things out and announce that we all need to, we can hang out and talk. We just need to do it out in the hall here. Because there's a lot of people that have plans that need to kind of move on to the next step. So anyway, thank you, and I'll see you at closing ceremonies.